session. So for that, I would like to invite our panelists on the stage. Mr. Minish Saha, Member Secretary of IDF, India. Mr. Nicholas Gardner, President IDF, United States of America. Mrs. Hele, NC Secretary from Norway. And Mr. Carlos, NC Secretary from Mexico. He'll be joining us virtually. For the next panel, we have Mr. Brazile. I request you to please come and join us on the stage. And at last, I request Mr. Jeremy Jonker to please come and join us on the stage. Now, I request our session chair, Ms. Caroline, to please come and join us on the dais. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for sticking with us. I understand it's the last session of the day, but it is an important one, and we have the privilege of having Minister Upala with us. So please stay till the end so you don't miss the last final words. So thank you for your support. Okay, so you're going to see it's a very interesting session. We add 1 hour and a half. I'll try to do as fast as we can, but we're going to do the whole session. The first part is on dairy and UN SDGs from a country perspective. So we do have a panel of 3 persons that will be 4 persons that will be discussing that. After that, we'll have a discussion with our IDF president and IDF chair of Science and Program Coordination Committee. We're going to talk about the role of IDF in helping delivering the SDGs and the work of the global dairy sector, as well as our summary of what we feel were the highlight of the summit. And we'll have a concluding remark by Minister Rupala that will actually be concluding this summit. So thank you all for participating to it, and we're going to start right now. Okay, so you've heard a lot about the role of dairy and UN SDGs. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing the pin of the UN SDGs. But what you maybe don't see is at the heart of it, that's the drop of IDF. Because at the end of it, dairy is at the heart of all of the SDGs. And that, I think, is a very strong symbol, because at the end of the day, you've heard it on day 1, you've heard it on every day, how dairy is contributing to SDGs. One thing that we've not mentioned is that actually it's all part of a system. And the reality is that now we are almost midway to deliver the agenda of 2030. And this agenda was actually defined by all the countries. They wanted to have inspiring goals so they could show action. But it's coming soon. 2030 is very soon. So our objective is really to showcase what we do as a sector so that we can help our government to include that in their action pathways and in their country report that they're doing to the UN on that. We've done a survey with IDF members where 18 of them contributed to this survey, so it's a bit more than half of our membership, with a very broad geographical diversity. And we've asked them what they felt was actually the most important SDGs for their government, and then we've asked them for them. So for their government, what they felt was very a priority, as you can see, is SDG 3 on good health and wellness, SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth, and SDG 13 on climate action. So those are the SDGs that actually our panelists and members feel that their government is actually put the more emphasis on. Not necessarily on dairy, but in general. From a membership perspective, what are their priority as a dairy sector, what they're really working on is on SDG 3, so you see the commonalities on good health and wellness, on SDG 12, on responsible consumption and production, which is normal considering their role, as well as SDG 13 in terms of climate action. So you could see that there's an alignment on the role of what we feel as a sector and as a government in terms of what we could accomplish. I've mentioned a few times the role of the Dairy Declaration of Rotterdam. In 2016, IDF and FAO signed what is the global commitment of the sector on dairy development. In that declaration that we've committed actually to measurement and reporting on climate action, on greenhouse gas emissions. So both pathways to net zero and all of the work we do is attached to that declaration. So it's the same thing for the SDGs. So everything we do is related to that. In order to help you, Minister was asking earlier about example and concrete work that we've been doing. IDF has been publishing for the last 4 years the IDF Dairy Sustainability Outlook, where we bring example of project action commitment from around the world, and we link it to the SDGs. And now we've actually doing it on our website using the Dairy Declaration of Rotterdam in action, where actually for some of the goals, and we started with 3, 12, and 13, where you actually can have example from around the world on what people are doing on those SDGs. And that's something that will continue to grow. Those are the Dairy Sustainability Outlook I've just mentioned, and I recommend to access them. It's on website free of charge, and you have tons of examples. If you want, you're looking for example of how to build a positive narrative on the role of dairy in SDGs, you can find it there. It's very inspiring. So now I'd like to invite our colleagues that we actually built a very interesting mixed panel with different perspectives. So one from Norway, one from India, Mexico, and the US. So it's going to bring us a bit of discussion. I've asked them to prepare a 2-minute introductory remark on what are their perspective on the role of dairy and SDGs. And after that, we're going to do a round of questions when we go into more of examples that will illustrate that. So as our first speaker, I'd like to invite Hele to share her remarks.
Thank you for the introduction, Caroline. I would say, starting to say that Norway's priority number 1 in regards to the Sustainable Development Goals at the moment is climate. However, I would like to use this opportunity to focus on another important goal, the one on sustainable cities and communities. I do come from a country far up north. If we're close to the North Pole, it's a very long and outstretched country. And for our government, it's been important for many years to have people to live not only in cities, but also to keep the communities alive. And we want to have people living all over the country. This means that it must be attractive to live and to make a living. Also in the rural areas, in the mountain areas, up north and along our long coastline. So milk production is seen as the backbone to keep most of these communities alive and sustainable. Only 3% of Norway is arable land. And 2/3 of this, we can only grow grass actually. So it's not sustainable for us to not utilize this resource, have goats, have cows, turning grass into milk rich on nutrients for human consumption. But at the same time, we need to make it economically possible to make a living from this. We need to make it attractive, also from a social point of view. To live in the more rural areas, in the communities, and also for the younger generation. I think that's an important part. We need the younger generation to also live in the rural areas. So to be able to make a living as a farmer, also in these remote areas far from a processing plant, we pay every farmer in Norway the same price for their milk. Small and large producers also achieve the same price for their milk. And remember, in Norway, 60 cows is a big farm. Our average is 31, at the moment at least. We keep a structure of family farms, and in Norway we still have milk quotas to help us achieve this goal of milk all over the country, and to avoid to have the milk to be produced only in the most favorable areas. So with dairy farms all over the country, we keep lights in the windows. We create the need for kindergartens, for schools, for shops. We also create other jobs in the community. And last year, my company, Tine, the largest dairy cooperative and processor in Norway, we had a report made that showed that For every Norwegian farmer, 2.4 jobs are created outside the farm. We do keep communities alive. So as a dairy sector, we contribute to a living Norway, also to sustainable communities, not just having people living in the cities. We do this, like I said, by giving our farmers a possibility for a decent income that they can live from, and we give Norwegian consumers nutritious food for a healthy life.
I'd like to invite Minesh to present his position.
Thank you, Caroline. Honorable Minister, sir, Chair of this session, all the esteemed speakers and friends. I think all of you will agree that at the heart of the concept of sustainable future, it's the concern that human interactions with the environment are becoming or have already become impossible to maintain in the long run. And eventually, these interactions could lead to an inability of the earth to provide essential resources or services for survival of human beings in long run. So thus, as responsible and caring citizens of the world, the development growth pathways that we choose in any sector, it should meet the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs as the popular definition of sustainability by United Nations. Well, talking about the dairy sector, I think today milk is the single largest agriculture commodity in India, contributing almost 5% of our economy and giving direct employment to more than 8 crore rural households. So undoubtedly, dairying is the major instrument in bringing the socio-economic transformation what we have seen of the rural poor in our country. And since we are the largest milk producer in the world also, it becomes our responsibility to ensure that our milk production remains environmentally sustainable. We know that this would require recognizing the environmental sustainability challenges in the sector, primarily related to the use of natural resources and impacts resulting from production of milk and milk products. At the same time, I think we also have to see that dairy sector in our country continues to play its role in human health and nutrition, and it still remains a vehicle for economic opportunity and improved livelihood for millions of farmers. So thus, I think in our view, sustainability in the context of dairy sector in our country must address food and livelihood security and climate change mitigation simultaneously. If I go by the perspective of our country, I think by adopting the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, India is committed to contribute for global peace and prosperity now and also in the future. The country recognizes that ending poverty must go hand in hand with our other strategies that improves food security, health, education, reduction in the inequality, and favor economic growth while tackling climate change and preserving our planet. And our priority is, I think, dairying is an instrument that brings, as I told, social, economic, and technological changes in lives of millions of small and marginal farmers. So our priority is to improve quality of life of millions of milk producers through various technological interventions which can contribute the same. Improve we have seen the presentations, so to improve the per animal productivity and quality of milk, which will again help to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Food security through production of safe and nutritious milk and milk products. Higher income to farmers, women empowerment, improving market access to rural producers, and also while caring for environment and reducing environmental footprints such as greenhouse gas emissions or water footprint, or improving the renewable energy use, responsible consumption of resources, reducing the pollution on land and water. We can go on and on, on and on. I think that remains our priorities, and immediate is, what we can do is immediately, I think we'll have to assess the greenhouse gas emission of dairy cooperatives or the entire dairy value chain from cow to consumer, as we say. And I hope that once we know that what we have to tackle with, I think it will be very easy for us, to reduce the carbon footprint. Maybe we can adopt some of the carbon footprint standard for dairy sector, considering the smallholder dairy farming systems we have, as both the honorable ministers told in the morning. And I can say that at NDDB we have already made a good start with attempt of carbon neutral conferences, carbon neutral headquarter at Anand, and we are ready for a bold step to net zero for the entire value chain. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Manesh. Would like now to invite our colleague Carlos Villarreales, dairy farmers and president of IDF Mexico. So he's joining us remotely from Mexico. Can you please put him on board?
Hello, Caroline. Thank you for having me here today, giving me the opportunity to speak in this panel. I'm very honored. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me here today. Today, the office that focuses in SDGs in Mexico is sadly not focused on the dairy industry. However, the dairy sector in Mexico has a wide relevance and contribution to the SDGs. Bovine milk in Mexico contributes to 70% of the value of the livestock production, and there are 150,000 units of milk production. The cattle herd is about 2.5 million head, and the dairy market is valued at $16 billion. The milk production chain generates more than 635,000 direct jobs and more than 1 million indirect jobs, mostly on the rural areas of the country where the milk is produced and where it's been a challenge to keep these communities alive as people flee to the bigger cities. An example of contribution to the SDGs would be the company that I, as a farmer, supply milk to, Lala. That is the biggest dairy company in Mexico. In its last sustainability report, Lala reports a link with 12 of the 17 SDGs, directly or indirectly through a linkage with its dairy farmers, highlighting the impact on zero hunger. I believe that direct linkages with companies will help the industry to contribute more to the SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. We're going to keep you online for the panel discussion afterwards, so please don't disappear. So next will be Nicholas Garner from the US, so we can hear your introduction. Come on, Nick.
Thank you, Caroline, for the invitation. It's an honor to be part of the panel. I think the conversation about the SDGs in the United States has really become a conversation about how we as an industry can achieve the SDGs, not just about where the SDGs are and where they're taking us, but how we can work together pre-competitively to harness our historic strength on SDG 2 for zero hunger, SDG 3 on good health and well-being, while also delivering on SDG 13, climate action. In the United States, we've committed to 3 goals by 2050. GHG neutrality, making significant improvements in water quality, and reducing water use through recycling. Those are industry-wide commitments at the pre-competitive level. The industry is working hard to achieve those to demonstrate our commitment to SDG 13 on climate action. Now, how will we do that? We will do that through technology, innovation, and by making a commitment to our farmers that climate action can not just be profitable, but it can be good for productivity. The only way that we will achieve that is by working together, not just in the United States, but with all of our global colleagues. At the end of the day, not only do we have a responsibility to continue to deliver on our promises around the SDGs, we have an obligation to work together to support the diversity of production systems around the world, but also to lift those that are the least productive and the most productive to bring the industry up in our commitment to climate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our fourth speaker for the very, very inspiring speech. I'd love now to go to a question. So if we could bring back Carlos on screen. I'd like to start with Hele. I wanted you, Hele, to maybe share with us a bit more of example relating to SDG 3 on good health and wellness, as well as SDG 12 on responsible consumption and production.
And this is working? Yep, perfect. Thank you. Yes, I guess then I should use this opportunity to talk about good health and well-being. In Norway, we have a quite unique agreement. We've had it for a few years. It's between the health authorities and the whole food and drink sector, and we are dedicated to reduce sugar, salt, and saturated fats in our products, with specific targets agreed and within a certain time. So to share with you how we can contribute to the agreement, trying to give some inspiration to others, I'll give you an example of what my company has been working on for the latest years, that it's on how to take further steps on our common path to achieve the UN goals by reducing sugar. We have reduced the total amount of added sugar in our products with as much as 22% since 2015. That's quite a big amount. So how have we done this? Well, by gradually reducing the amount of sugar in especially yogurt and flavored milk drinks. So with using small steps, reducing just a small amount of added sugar every time, we managed to do this without our consumers noticing really the difference. It hasn't been too much change in the taste. And as it takes time for a new innovation to gain volume, reducing sugar in existing popular products has been it's been a very effective tool for us to work and to reduce and to work towards better health. And many of the new innovations in the category are also without any sugar added now. For the flavored milk category, we can actually now see an increase in consumption of milk due to the fact that we're offering these new innovations of flavored milk without any sugar added or sweeteners. And they're actually very well adapted by the consumers. And maybe some of you saw, but this milk, it's also offered as part of our school milk scheme, this flavored milk without any sugar or sweeteners added. And it was one of the finalists for the IDF Innovation Awards.
Thank you, Hele. Okay, for our next three speakers, I'm asking you the same questions, so get ready. So what can we do as a dairy community to help accelerate the progress and delivery on SDGs? So maybe I start with you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. And it really, I think it goes to my opening comments. It's about delivering solutions through innovation, research, and good data. Some of you may have seen, but yesterday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced $2.8 billion in funding for climate-smart commodities. They've awarded this money through a series of selected programs, research programs and pilots, including several in the dairy industry. And I believe that through funding and through opportunities like this, we can drive in the United States solutions that will be applicable globally. For example, one of the awardees of the USDA funding is California and the dairy industry and a number of organizations there who will be looking at how to monetize environmental sustainability throughout the California dairy industry, looking at things like carbon markets, how to price credits, and ultimately this gets back to not just figuring out how to do this effectively, but also how we incentivize and reward our farmers for taking the actions that they're going to have to take in order to deliver on the SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Carlos, I'd like to hear your perspective from Mexico.
Yes, I absolutely believe that the key is to look into sustainability. I believe that this will unleash a lot of revenue to the farmers and rewards to farmers that will let them accelerate this process. I also believe that incorporating social and animal welfare criteria into primary production will be very important. And in Mexico, to achieve these goals, it will require government support through public policies that will facilitate the use of technology for many like water use and infrastructure necessary for animal welfare. Through the organizations that we represent in the entire production chain, we believe that we're working on a comprehensive policy proposal that will include this type of initiatives, and we hope to be able to influence so that in the next administration of the federal government, starting in 2024, we can make them incorporated into their government programs.
Thank you very much. Maybe Minesh, I'll give you the last word on this one.
I think I would just like to give one example which was explained in detail by one of our officers yesterday. I'm talking about the, a small intervention which we have initiated on biogas and manure management. It is almost touching the 6 SDGs. It provides additional income. It creates job and reduced imports of fuel and fertilizer, so directly touching the SDG 1. Then it also provides the improved human health, because the women, they don't have to now use wood or some other fire material and spoil their lungs, as they are now getting the clean fuel. Again, since this model itself is focused on the women, the beneficiaries are directly women. It touches the SDG 5 of women participation. It provides clean fuel, as I told, so SDG 7 is covered. Then it also improves the fertilizers produced, they are organic fertilizer produced from the leftover bioslurry after the biogas is consumed, is actually helping to improve the soil health, so touching the SDG 12. And last is the SDG 13, because it helps you to reduce the GHG emission. So methane is not emitted. So I'm just giving one example of a small intervention or innovation which we have done, considering the small dairy farming systems we have. Just a small 2 cubic meter biogas plant in the backyard of the farmer, touching almost 6 SDGs and improving them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I wish we had a full day so we could share with you all of those great examples that we have. But I think what we wanted to give you today is a flavor, an understanding, and a willingness maybe to search for more information. But this is something we could be proud as a sector. And I'd like to come back to Nick's comments at the beginning in his introduction, that it's about real action. And I think we can showcase that we have been doing that as a sector, but also as an organization. And IDF has actually aligned all of its strategic goals with the SDGs, so we actually link it. We've been using, remember that the poster session that we actually judged earlier this week, one of the main criteria was the impact on the Sustainable Development Goals. And as part of their Innovation Awards, one of the main criteria, again, was the impact on the SDGs. So that's very something that we've integrated as part of everything that we do and that we report on. So I'd like to thank our panelists for this session and invite you to have discussion with them a bit of when we finish the session if we want to know more. I want to thank you, Carlos from Mexico. We wish to see you next year in Chicago. And thank you to Nick, Hele, and Manesh for this presentation. So we're going to move on to the second part of our panel. So we will have a short discussion with our colleagues, our IDF President, Pierre Cristiano Brazale, Dr. Jamie Yonker, who is chair of our Science and Program Coordination Committee, as well as myself as a moderator. And the minister will be concluding with his remark at the end. So bear with us, we're actually moving forward into our program. So again, thank you to our panelists. You can stay on stage if you wish, or go as you prefer. And Carlos, we'll let you go, and we look forward to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Looking forward to see you, Caroline. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, photo, sure. Okay, so traditionally, IDF usually do what we call an IDF forum on the first day, where we take actually 45 minutes just to brag about the good work that we've been doing during the year. So we've done this a bit differently this year. So we've decided to do it at the end and to do it as a conclusion, trying to wrapping up what happened during the week. And we're going to do it a bit less informally, more in kind of a conversation than in terms of presentation. So that's a warning. This is the first way we're trying it, the first time we're trying it. So, and as you can see, my voice is kind of shaky a little bit. So here we go. So IDF, as you know, has been the global dairy expertise since 1903. So we're going to celebrate next year our 120th anniversary. So that's something worth celebration, and we're looking forward to that. So over the last few days, we've actually learned a lot. We've connected with our colleagues, and we've been inspired by many of the presentations from our Indian colleagues and from other experts around the world. So it is an opportunity to reflect on what we do as an organization and how we contribute to that work and to the challenge and opportunity of the future. So I think by now you know well our president and our chair of our SPCC. So I'm going to jump right away into the topic. So the first one, I wanted to give you an opportunity, Mr. President, to maybe share a few words on IDF. Yeah.
Hello. Good morning. So first of all, I want to congratulate the organization, because this World Dairy Summit was a great event, really great event. We had 4 days of a conference. Over 1,600 dairy leaders, experts, farmers, processors, traders, producers were able to attend 24 sessions divided into 4 thematic verticals: global dairy market situation trends, dairy science and farming, technique and innovation, nutrition and health, and sustainability and climate action, provided by over 120 speakers. So we are really delighted, really grateful to Indian National Committee, to govern for the organization, that this great organization. I agree with the minister when said, please hear the voice of India. The voice of the Indian dairy sector after this event, I'm sure, is greater wider and stronger. Few words. IDF was founded 190 years ago. We have 41 countries in our organization, and we are organized in national committees. We have a board of directors, and here you can see the members of the board of directors, and we represent all the stakeholders along the dairy chain. So farmers, processors, cooperatives, universities, academia, ministries. So we are really a balanced organization. Here you can see I am president and I am a dairy processor and dairy farmer. We have a representative of industries like LUSEP of Tine, the biggest cooperative in Norway. Mi Fang Lu is the CEO of Menju, the second largest group in China. Gilles Froment from Canada represents Lactalis Canada. Jamie Jonker of the United States, he represents an organization in the United States. Eric Grandet is a Truser, is representing also Lactalis, and now we have a new one. Dr. Harry van de Biegert from Netherlands, representing the biggest analytical laboratory in Netherlands. Andrew Hogarth is the president of Federated Farmers in New Zealand, and Dr. Sodi, don't need presentation, is the CEO of Amul. We need to give a great thank you and congratulations to the IDF team for the work they make for us, for IDF, and also for the work they made for this World Dairy Summit. We are based in Brussels, and we have the offices in Brussels. Thank you to the General Director, Caroline, and thank you also to all the members of the team. Okay.
And now I'll just talk a little bit about our scientific and technical program. It's overseen by 14 members on our Scientific Program Coordinating Committee that oversees the standing committees and task forces that we operate, and we have more than 150 scientific and technical programs happening at any individual time. These folks represent discrete parts of the scientific and technical community, along with 3 that are at large representing academia, processing, and farming. They put in the great work in overseeing the large program that has nearly 1,200 subject matter expert volunteers from around the world that help put together the program. And let's just look a little bit at what we've achieved in the past year. Six bulletins, 3 joint IDF ISO standards, fact sheets, numerous technical events, including in-person, hybrid, and virtual, 22 contributions to international organizations such as Codex Alimentarius and the WHO, the World Health Organization. These 1,200 experts from around the world do the yeoman's work of providing the backbone to the scientific and technical expertise of the global dairy sector, overseen by professional staff at the headquarters in Brussels. We do a lot on a small amount of input, and I think that that is amazing to what has been 119 years of leadership for the global dairy sector. And I think with that, we might be moving on to a little bit more of the dialogue.
Exactly. Actually, I'd like to ask our president that based on your experience, what and what you've heard during the summit and the dairy leaders and ministers, what are the main challenges and opportunity that you think the dairy sector is facing now and the next 5 years?
Not easy. Not easy answer. No, I have some things confirmed. some ideas confirmed. First of all, it was a great opportunity to understand what is the dairy sector in India. And I understood that the role of the dairy sector in India is central. And really is very important in terms of socio-economic sustainability, to improve the livelihoods, to guarantee decent income. So it's very important. What are our challenges? We have a lot of challenges, different challenges around the world, but one challenge that is the same for everyone is to reduce the environmental impact, but how much to reduce? Our work is really focused on to have a clear idea, real numbers about our environmental impact. I'm absolutely sure that our impact, the impact of the dairy sector is overestimated. And setting methodologies like the new LCA methodology or updated LCA methodology, the work we are doing to set the methodology to evaluate the carbon sequestration are really important in this way. So we need this work, and is why we are focused on this work. Because I'm sure when we will have methodologies, right methodologies and standardized methodologies, we will be surprised. And we will surprise who think that we have an high impact in the environment. Second thing I learned in this summit is that is another confirmation. Is about the very important role of the dairy products in a healthy and sustainable diet. You have the opportunity to watch in the application again the presentation. I invite you to watch the presentations made during the nutritional session. And what is really important to say is only one statement. Don't exist healthy and sustainable diet without dairy. Absolutely don't exist. And the science show it. So this is the second learning. Third, very important challenge we have is to respect the animal welfare. Respect animal welfare is one of our main topics. Environment and animal welfare, and guarantee food safety. These are the three challenges we have, and we must focus on every day in our work, in our daily work.
Thank you. Do you want to talk a bit about the opportunities, or you want to do it later?
Opportunities you can see is our opportunities as an organization that represent the dairy sector. The dairy sector you can see here to promote the role of dairy in healthy diets, like I said, so produced in a sustainable manner. Provide knowledge and expertise to international organizations such as Codex and OIE, is Animal Health World Organization, and regulators. And develop guidelines and methodologies to facilitate implementation of international standards and regulation. And making it, we support the actors of a dairy chain to provide safe, sustainable, and nutritious dairy products. And I hope we contribute also to the Indian dairy sector to provide the information and to provide all what you need to improve your dairy sector. We are, if you need everything you need, Minister and Mr. Shah, we are available to provide all the information. But Mr. Shah is also Secretary of the National Committee of India, so he's directly involved in the work of IDF.
Thank you. Maybe Jamie, you want to expand a little bit on how IDF is helping to address those challenges and those opportunities?
Absolutely, and what a great question. And I think this is where I'm going to put on my nerd helmet. It's those 1,200 scientific and technical subject matter experts that work within IDF to produce things like the LCA methodology update. That first LCA methodology that came out in 2010, I think was groundbreaking. And to continue the development of it, to have that demonstration of we have the science. That we have the science behind what we're saying about what our true impact is, and then here are ways that we can implement solutions. So it's those eggheads behind the scenes that help us set the science and technology to help us address the big challenges. It's the same thing in food safety. It's the same thing in market development. It's the same thing in product technology. It's all of those people behind the scenes that you don't see up on stage that are doing the real work that allow us to then move forward and advance the global dairy sector.
Thank you, thank you. I'd like us to take a minute just to mention that IDF, we didn't spend too much time to explain it, but you can follow us on our website, social media. Our annual report has been launched earlier this week. I'm sure you've seen the video. I really encourage you to go and see what we're doing. That's very useful for you to know what we're doing and how you can contribute. I wanted to mention that IDF is a modern and resilient organization, that we're doing impactful communication, and actually we have meaningful collaboration with stakeholders. That is key, and that's something we've seen throughout the summit, the participation that we had from our stakeholders. That's definitely something that needs to be mentioned. We also present key learning events. It is part of what we do at IDF, sharing knowledge. So you have many opportunities to join our event, as well as publication. We have actually released quite a few during this summit with the World Dairy Situation Report 22, as well as the LCA methodology, the document on carbon sequestration. And you can always look at our website with the school milk knowledge for those who want to know more. In terms of action call, we've mentioned it in the first session of the day. Please sign the Pathways to Dairy Net Zero. And for those countries who have not yet signed the Dairy Declaration of Rotterdam, we encourage you to do so. For the next part of this panel, I'd like you to maybe go a little bit more into details. Maybe, Jamie, you haven't mentioned your learnings from the summit. So let's start with that.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. And part of this is built from the business meetings, from the plenary sessions, from the concurrent scientific and technical sessions, and the posters. And I have, I think, 3 themes and some comments on each of those. The first is climate action and the opportunities and challenges around those. You know, greenhouse gas emissions, we have opportunities and challenges with enteric emissions from the animal, with manure management, with feed management, with animal genetics. I think about the posters that I had the opportunity to, an honor to judge as part of the poster competition, and things that are happening here in India with the use of biogas, things that we're also doing in the U.S. So here in India on small shareholder farms, in the U.S. at large-scale intensive farms, commonalities. Genomics are being used to improve breeds here in India, water buffalo and dairy cattle, things that are being done in developed nations. We have improvements in animal feeding and how we manage the cropping systems. Wonderful things that are happening here in India, things that are happening in dairies from a small scale to large scale. So the commonalities that we see in our production systems are more similar than different, despite the differences in size, despite the differences in geography, despite the differences in culture. And we know that there are challenges for our dairy farmers of all sizes in helping to meet these climate action needs, financial and technical resources. The second is on sustainable nutrition opportunities and challenges. Our school milk programs represent quite a cornerstone of getting nutrient-dense dairy to our most vulnerable population, our children, the ones that we want to grow up healthy and strong, and things that we are sharing through our Dairy Knowledge Hub. But there are competitive products in the marketplace that make claims about their sustainability, about their nutrition that we know are not true, and helping to set the record straight on that. And then we look at new technology and what it can bring to food innovation when we look at some of the innovative products that were in the New Innovation Awards, bringing dairy nutrition in packages and materials and senses that people want to consume. And then finally, I think really you combine that climate smart opportunities in the nutrient-dense package that we have in dairy, and it's about a sustainable dairy food system. And that the sustainable dairy food system is not one size. It does not look the same everywhere. You heard Helle from Norway talk about some of their dairy systems and what they look like. You've heard a lot about the India dairy systems and what they look like, and the variability even within India as such a large country with so many different dairy farmers. And so it's not a single dairy farm type. It's working within the dairy system, within the country, within the social context that you have around the world. And this is helping to meet the needs of the more than 1 billion people, global citizens who depend on dairy as part of their social well-being. That's 1 out of every 7 people that's involved in the global dairy sector. The largest single industry in the world, I would say the most important single industry in the world.
Thank you so much. I would say, if I may, from a personal perspective, I would say that this summit would definitely be memorable, both from the warm welcoming of our Indian colleagues, but also from the inspiration we got from that summit. From day one with Prime Minister Modi and the minister that presented their very strong commitment to dairy. And it's very inspiring to see how dairy is used as an engine for socioeconomic contribution. That should be an inspiration to us all to remind ourselves of what dairy can do to our economy, to our community, and also to the planet. So this is definitely one of my learnings from the summit, and what we should all bring home is that we have a role to play and we can see it in action. And India is showing us that. So that was definitely a key message that I'm bringing home. So thank you for that. As the time is flying by, maybe Pierre Cassano, if you could just share with us how you see that the sector and IDF could maybe help into contributing to the next level for the sector.
The next, sure. The next.
How we can contribute to bring the sector to the next level.
As usual, we have a strategic role to support the sector, and we must continue to provide the methodologies, to provide advocacy, to be the global voice of the dairy sector as we are doing. And I repeat, it's very important, it's very central our role in healthy and sustainable diets. This is very important. I would like to add something about the learning of this summit. I was surprised by the level of digitalization of your sector in India. Really surprised. And for me is a great lesson, and I will come back home with this lesson, because the program you started 2 years ago, no? Of digitalization of the sector is really surprising and at top level. And with the Indian model of dairy farmers, small dairy farmers, is the right way to improve the quality, improve the efficiency of the dairy sector. Absolutely. And the demonstration is also the awards you received during the Dairy Innovation Award. You received exactly the awards for this digitalization principle. So it's really amazing for me, and is a huge discovery for me. And I want to point out this because I really deserve. And I will be a voice around the world about your progress in digitalization. Digitalization innovation are the base for the dairy sector for the next future.
Thank you. And maybe, Jamie, in terms of concluding remark, you want to play your recruitment role in terms of chair of SVCC and actually welcome us next year.
Yeah, 2 items here. It's those subject matter experts that are the backbone behind our scientific and technical program. And so we always need more. The more experts we have, the more that we can do. I think we leverage our 1,200 experts very well, but imagine if we had 2,400, what we could be doing. And so I encourage all of you, if you're not currently involved in IDF as a subject matter expert, talk to your national committee and see about how you can become involved. And then the next thing I'm going to do before we turn it over to our concluding speaker is I want to invite you all to Chicago in October of next year for the next World Dairy Summit. A high bar has been set based upon the World Dairy Summit here in India. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. We will be sending more information about this in the near future. Our website is liveidfwds2023.com, so that's where you'll find the information. Thank you very much for the opportunity to see the meeting here, and we look forward to seeing you in Chicago next year.
Thank you so much to both of you. And as I said, we all wish we have more time, but we wanted just to give you a little teaser of what you can learn and see from IDF. We do have concluding remarks. I would like to invite Secretary Swain to join us on stage so we can start the concluding remark, and Mr. Menash will start the presentation. You can take out the slides.
So friends, namaskar. I think, just a few reflections. 3 days of business meetings, followed by 4 days of technical discussions, and we had a wonderful social and cultural programs focused on building social networks and the forthcoming technical and social tours. We'll all agree that the scale at which the summit was envisaged and the way it has happened, you can see that an event which has been graced by our Honorable Prime Minister, our Minister of Home Affairs and Cooperation, Sri Amit Shah ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath ji. We had union ministers ranging from our own Honorable Parshottam Rupala ji. Today we had Honorable Piyush Goyal ji, our Trade and Commerce Minister, Honorable Giriraj Singh ji, our Rural Development Minister, Honorable Mansukh Mandavia ji, our Health Minister, and both our Minister of States for the Animal Husbandry and Dairying Ministry, Dr. Sanjeev Balyan ji and Dr. L. Mulugan ji. So in simple words, I think it demonstrates the commitment of our government they have toward the dairy sector, and why not? Because it provides the both nutrition to the large population of our country and also the livelihoods to millions of our countrymen. We have seen the participation of more than 1,500 delegates, including large number of farmers. They are here even on the last day. We had the participation of over 300 overseas delegates physically present during the event, and many more who have joined us virtually. 24 technical sessions, side events, numerous bilateral and multilateral meetings, poster session, different awards recognizing the efforts put by our sector and organization in taking the dairy sector forward. We had an exhibition in about 7,000 square meter space with more than 110 both national and international exhibitors showcasing the latest technologies and innovations which are happening in our sector. I think one of the biggest takeaway for the summit for us was cooperation among the competitors to sponsor the events. Thanks to Amul, thanks to Nandini, thanks to Mother Dairy, and all the other sponsors who have made their contribution to see that this event becomes successful. I am sure that this IDF World Dairy Summit has been a great learning experience for all of us, and all the discussions and deliberations that have taken place here would help us to bring about more efficiency, more effectiveness, more sustainability across our dairy value chain. IDF has really provided us with a very good platform for it, and I thank both the President, Mr. Cristiano, and Director General, Ms. Caroline, from bottom of our heart. It truly has been a proud moment for India. And sure that our guests from overseas will take home the beautiful memories of our country. And we have been discussing with our US delegates. They are saying us that we have raised the bar so high, it will be a challenge for them to host the WDS 2023. So thank you once again, and thank you everyone. Thank you.
May I invite Secretary Swain to join us for a few remarks?
Honorable Minister for Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Sri Rupalaji, and dear friends. Good afternoon to all of you. Finally, we are at the concluding session of this summit. 4 days we have deliberated in depth over so many subjects. We had about 24 sessions, there are side events, there are more than 150 speakers, and we had a lot of discussions. We had 3 major themes running across the discussions. One was dairying for livelihood, second was dairying for nutrition, and third was on sustainability. And there are a lot of takeaways from this summit. The first takeaway was probably given by our Honorable Prime Minister, who gave a very stirring and powerful speech on how dairying is so crucial for livelihoods of millions across the globe. And that's something we must keep in mind while taking this industry forward. And the second major takeaway is that we cannot ignore sustainability issues, and while keeping in mind the importance of sustainability, how do we integrate livelihood matters and aspects into this? This is something that will continue to be in our thoughts. Sustainability, as I see, is something grows on the field. We take it away, 20% comes in grains, either goes to the cattle or to the human beings, 80% is the straw that goes back to the soil. This 20% sometimes goes into the, most of the time goes far away into the municipal space. How do you get it back to the soil? That's basically the challenge. That's where the technology should help us, our discipline should help us. And the core of sustainability is what Buddhism teaches us: moderation, 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 and moderation. That's, I think, the core what we should always do and practice. And that's, I think, most of the presentations on sustainability we learn that whether you reduce the sugar, you try to reduce the salt, whether you make it in such a way that it is palatable without going into the extremes. I think that is where the core of the action lies. A lot of takeaways, and I think it's a great success, and this work will be carried forward in the next summit. On behalf of our Secretary, the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, I congratulate all the participants here for a great work done. We assure that as the President of the National Committee, I assure that we are very, very serious. India is very, very serious about the dairying, the kind of dairying we practice, and the kind of sustainability practices we do, and we will take it to the next level, and we will work with the entire world and all the stakeholders here. This is our commitment. We will definitely do that. I am sure the deliberation held at this summit will help us in evolving and carrying forward the appropriate strategies. Strategy will continue to be defined, redefined, modified, and improved. Together, our progress in civilization has been a series of number of steps forward towards better and easier solutions, and that will continue. With this, I would really thank our Honorable Minister who has been a guiding spirit for this summit and who has been present in most of the presentations and guided us. Please give a big hand. I would like to thank President IDA, Mr. Brazil, and Director General, Mr. Caroline, for their great involvement in the summit and to make it a success. I'd also like to thank our Member Secretary, Sri Minesha, and his team of NDDB who have worked tirelessly and made this, and also the sponsors, our milk federations, especially Amul and KMF, and who have made this summit a great success and things to remember for times to come. And I also would like to thank all the participants who have come all the way to participate here, exchange knowledge, and give takeaways to all of us. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure and honor to invite our Honorable Minister from Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairies, Minister Rupala, to actually give us the concluding remark.
नमस्कार। आज के इस समारोह सेशन में मंच पर विराजमान हमारे सचिव महोदय और फेडरेशन के अध्यक्ष क्रिस्टियानो ब्राज़ेला, भाई श्री मिनेश जी, मिस कार्लोने, आप सभी भाइयों एवं बहनों, प्रेस के दोस्तों, मैं पहली बार मेरी ऑफिस में ब्राज़ेलिनो और कार्लेनो के साथ पहली बार हमारी भेंट हुई और चाय के साथ इस प्रोग्राम के बारे में चर्चा करने के बाद हम प्रेस लेने के लिए गए। वो हमारा पहला मीटिंग था और आज ये हमारा इस कार्यक्रम का अंतिम मीटिंग है। इस बीच में हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्री ने और मेरे कैबिनेट के कई महत्वपूर्ण साथियों ने इस इंटरनेशनल डेयरी फाउंडेशन के इस समिट को अपना कीमती समय दिया, मार्गदर्शन दिया, डेलिब्रेट भी किए। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्री ने इस पूरे समारोह को अच्छी तरह से संपन्न हो, इसके लिए जो भी आवश्यक सुविधा की आवश्यकता थी वो सारी उपलब्ध कराने का काम किया, मार्गदर्शन भी दिया और आशीर्वाद भी दिया। मैं एक दो बातें आप सबके साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूं। एक तो हमारे डेलीगेट्स जो भारत में से यहाँ आए, उनको ये जो सुनना के अनुभव मिला, एक्सपर्ट्स की सारी बातें, इनोवेशंस, वो सभी को मेरा विनम्र अनुरोध है कि वो अपने व्यक्तिगत जीवन में, अपनी छोटी सी डेयरी में, अपने यहाँ उसका इस्तेमाल करने का प्रयास करें, उसी से सीखने का प्रयास करें। जो हमारे विदेश से मेहमान आए हैं और जो डेलीगेट्स हैं, आपके सदस्य हैं, आपके वर्ल्ड डेयरी फेडरेशन के, इंटरनेशनल डेयरी फेडरेशन फाउंडेशन के, उनका वहाँ की सरकारों के साथ क्या रिलेशन है वो मुझे पता नहीं है। आई एम नॉट नोइंग अबाउट इट। यहाँ हमारा सीधा संबंध है, हमारे राष्ट्रीय समिति के अध्यक्ष हमारे सचिव हैं और मिनेश जी भी हमारी सरकार का ही एक अंग है। सो ये कमेटी के सदस्य के नाते वो जो सारी बातें हैं वो सीधी ही सरकार के साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं, और स्वयं जी तो सचिव होने के नाते इन सारी चीज़ों का भारत सरकार में अमली जामा पहनने का दायित्व ही इनके पास है। सो ये हमारे यहाँ भारत में ये सुविधा है। सो मुझे ये पता नहीं है कि आप सभी सदस्यों को अपने अपने देश में वहाँ की सरकारों के साथ यहाँ के डेलिब्रेशन को शेयर करने की योजना करनी चाहिए, वहीं की गवर्नमेंट के साथ, पॉलिसी मेकर के साथ। ये काम सभी डेलीगेट्स यहाँ से जाने के बाद करेंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि वर्ल्ड वाइड एक कॉमन, एक कॉन्सेंसस ये खड़ा करने का हमें इस फेडरेशन के माध्यम से श्रेय मिल सकता है। इन्हीं रिमार्क्स के साथ पुनश्च मैं हमारे विदेशी सभी मेहमानों का धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। एक बात मुझे आज कहने का गर्व हो रहा है कि मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी के वाला पहला जो हमारा इनॉग्रल सेशन था, उस समय जो मैंने मंच पर से जो चेहरे देखे थे, वही चेहरे आज इस सेशन में भी देखने को मिल रहा है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस आयोजन का ये सबसे बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण और उसको सिद्धि मानी जानी चाहिए। सो आप सभी डेलीगेट्स ने इसमें इतनी रुचिपूर्ण तरीके से हिस्सा लिया, इसके लिए मैं आप सभी डेलीगेट्सों को धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। मैं मीडिया के दोस्तों को बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि आपने इस इवेंट को भारत में, चूंकि ये इवेंट का डेस्टिनेशन होने की वजह से भारतीय मीडिया के लोगों ने भी यजमान की भूमिका में इनको पूरे देश में सुचारू रूप से बताने का जो कार्य किया है, इसके लिए भी मैं इनको बधाई देना चाहता हूं। और एक विनती भी करूंगा कि हमारे छोटे किसान, हमारे जो छोटे फार्मर्स हैं, उनके लिए इनमें से जो मैसेज देने की आवश्यकता हो वो भी आपके जरिए वहाँ इन लोगों के बीच में पहुँचाने का कष्ट करेंगे तो हम सब आपके आभारी रहेंगे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ अब हमारा ये अंतिम सत्र होने के बाद आप टूर्स पे जाने वाले हैं, और भी टेक्निकल टूर्स भी हैं और सोशल टूर्स भी हैं, और कुछ हमारे गुजरात में भी आ रहे हैं, और इसलिए आप सभी का वहीं गुजरात में स्वागत है। आपको धन्यवाद भी देता हूं। मैं और भी आपको विनती करता हूं कि ये जो आयोजित प्रोग्राम है, अगर आपके पास समय है तो ये आयोजित कार्यक्रम को संपन्न हो जाने के बाद इस भारत के भ्रमण करने के लिए भी 1-2 दिन आप निकालेंगे तो आपको सबको भारत देखने का, भारत दर्शन करने का मौका मिलेगा। कई ऐसी जगहें हैं, कई ऐसे स्थान हैं जिनको देखकर आप सबको बड़ी खुशी रहेगी। हमारी बड़ी सांस्कृतिक विरासत है, हमारा भव्य इतिहास है, इन सभी को आपको देखने को नज़दीक से देखने का मौका मिलेगा। आप कई ऐसे हमारे एनिमल्स हैं, उनको भी आप सभी को देखने का मौका मिलेगा, तो इनका भी आप सब लुत्फ लें। आप सभी को भारत की धरती पर से, हमारी भारत सरकार की ओर से, मैं हमारे एनडीडीबी के चेयरमैन भाई श्री मिनेश जी और उनकी टीम को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि इन लोगों ने बहुत ही सारे इवेंट को सरलता से संपन्न होने के लिए बहुत कष्ट उठाया है। वहाँ कहीं कहीं पे डांट भी पड़ी होगी, कहीं कहीं पे कुछ ऐसा लगा होगा, रात दिन लगे होंगे। अभी आप चेयरमैन होंगे मगर नीचे कई काम करने के लिए कई लोगों को कई श्रम उठाना पड़ा होगा, मगर इन सबने ठीक रोल किया होगा। वो आपके निमंत्रण पहुंचाने से, आपका नाश्ता तैयार करने से, सभी चीजों के लिए जो लोग लगे हुए थे, उन सभी छोटे मोटे जिन लोगों ने इस इवेंट को सफल करने के लिए काम किया है, उन सभी का धन्यवाद करता हूं। अगली बार फिर से इस इवेंट, ये जैसे 50 साल के बाद आ रहा है, मैं इंटरनेशनल है, हाँ, सो अभी मैं फेडरेशन के चेयरमैन से विनती करना चाहूँगा कि आप फिर जल्दी से भारत में ही इवेंट करने के लिए आप आए और दोबारा हमें इस अवसर का मौका मिले, इसके लिए हम आपको न्योता भी दे रहे हैं। पुनश्च आप सभी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और इसका डेलिब्रेशन का पूरा ब्यौरा हम जितने प्रतिनिधि आए हैं उन सभी सरकारों के सामने चला जाए, उस प्रकार की कोई रचना इस कार्यक्रम का ही हिस्सा बन जाए हर साल, ऐसा एक सूचन करते हुए सभी को मेरा नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
We will just have a translation what Honorable Minister told so that our foreign delegates can also understand.
To all the delegates and farmer brothers and sisters who have come from the corners of the country to attend this summit virtually as well as being present here. Sir has congratulated all of us for being present here. I'm happy about the fact that I have discussed about various issues, sustainable goals and various issues and challenges which are a part of dairy sector. This World Dairy Summit has brought together all the policy makers around the country and the delegates from more than 50 countries all around the world. Dairy is an important sector and all of us are trying our best to contribute in every small way possible towards making dairy a huge sector around the world. As we all are aware, the dairy farmers in India are especially small dairy farmers, and through this international event, they have got an opportunity to understand about various innovations, changes, and different automations that are happening around the world and learn from them. I would like to thank all the national and international experts for being present here. I also thank the sponsors, exhibitors, press, and media for taking across our messages to a global platform. I thank Mr. Cristiano Brazale, IDF President, and Ms. Caroline Edmond, DJ IDF, and the entire team who have contributed in making this event a huge success. I also thank Sri Manesha and his entire team for taking efforts to bring all of us here on this global platform. All of us will take efforts to make dairy a huge sector around the world. Thank you.
All right, so with this, once again, I want to thank all our panelists, and I hope you all had a great time in the last concluding session. So, first of all, we would like to apologize because we missed the memento, the felicitation thing. So, I would like to call upon from the first panel discussion, Mrs. Hele, Mr. Nicholas. Mr. Nicholas. All right, Mrs. Hele is here. Mrs. Hele will be felicitating Mrs. Hele with a memento and a certificate of appreciation. And to do the honor, we have Miss Caroline, the session chair. Thank you so much. Okay, moving ahead, we have Mr. Jamie Jonker, on the stage. I would like to call upon you here on the stage. Please come forward. Yeah, thank you so much, Jamie Jonko. And now, at last, we have the felicitation of our Honorable Minister, Shri. To do the felicitation of our Honorable Minister, Shri Purushottam Rupala ji, Honorable Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Government of India. And to do the honor, we have Shri Nish Saha, Chairman of NDDB. और मैं माननीय मंत्री जी का एक बार फिर से तहे दिल से अभिनंदन करती हूँ, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। वो यहाँ पर आए, मंच की शोभा बढ़ाई और अपना कीमती समय देते हुए इस पैनल डिस्कशन, इस आज के कंक्लूडिंग सेशन को और भी ज़्यादा स्पेशल बनाए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी का। Our secretary sir, Mr. Swen, so I request you to please come forward. And can we have a big round of applause, everyone? All right, and now we will be felicitating Mr. Cristiano Brazil. I request you to please come forward. Yeah, please. All right, and now we will be felicitating Miss Caroline. So I request you to, ma'am, please come forward. Can we have a round of applause, everyone, please? All right, so with this, once again, I would like to thank all our panelists and each one of you, all our session chair, and I request all the delegates on the stage to please come forward for a group photograph, including our Honorable Minister, sir. Please, sir. And with this, we are concluding the session. Thank you so much to all our panelists and all the delegates. मैं सभी आए प्रतिनिधियों का यहाँ पर तहे दिल से अभिनंदन शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहूँगी। आप सभी यहाँ पर आए और आज के इस अंतिम दिन की शोभा बढ़ाते हुए आपने इस इवेंट को और भी ज़्यादा स्पेशल और महत्वपूर्ण बनाया। सभी का बहुत बहुत दिल से धन्यवाद। और आगे बढ़ते हुए अभी हम लंच के लिए एक ब्रेक ले रहे हैं छोटा सा, एंड देन we have the last session as special announcement. Special announcement for all the delegates. Those who have registered for the tour are now requested, they can proceed for the lunch, and are requested to assemble at gate number 1 from where the buses will start for the tour at 1 p.m.